Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by, and welcome to the Kanzhun Limited fourth quarter and full year 2022 financial results conference call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. After the speaker's presentation, there will be a Q&A session. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Ms. Wenbei Wang, Head of Investor Relations. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, operator. Good evening and good morning, everyone. Welcome to our fourth quarter and full year 2022 earnings conference call. Joining me today are our founder, chairman, and CEO, Mr. Jonathan Peng Zhao, and our director and CFO, Mr. Phil Yu Zhang. Before we start, we would like to remind you that today's discussion may contain forward-looking statements, which are based on management's current expectations and observations that involve known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors not under the company's control, which may cause actual results, performance, or achievements of the company to be materially different. The company cautions you not to place undue reliance on forward-looking statements and do not undertake any obligation to update this forward-looking information, except as required by law. During today's call, management will also discuss certain non-GAAP financial measures for comparison purpose only. For definition of non-GAAP financial measures and the reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP financial results, please see the earnings release issued earlier today. In addition, a webcast replay of this conference call will be available on our website at ir.zhipin.com. With that, I will now turn the call to Jonathan, our founder, chairman, and CEO.
大家好，欢迎参加我们公司2022年4季度和全年业绩发布会。过去这段时间大家都不容易，谢谢投资人和用户，谢谢公司的员工。
Hello everyone, welcome to our fourth quarter and full year 2022 earnings conference call. The past year has been a tough one for all of us. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our users and investors and our employees.
先介绍一下4季度和全年业绩的情况。4季度公司实现经计算现金收款人民币11亿元，收入10.8亿元，与去年的同期持平。持平是一个不太理想的成绩，主要是受了前期的疫情影响，特别是整个12月的疫情高峰对4季度的业务造成较大的挑战。
First, I would like to share with you our performance for the fourth quarter and full year of 2022. Over the past quarter, we recorded calculated cash billings of RMB 1.1 billion and GAAP revenue of 1.08 billion, which is relatively flat compared with the same period of last year. Flat is not quite an ideal outcome, primarily affected by the accumulated effects of the COVID-19 outbreaks over the past quarters. The epidemic resurgence, particularly the surge in last December, posed great challenges to our normal operations during the fourth quarter.
4季度公司做了2件大事。12月22号，公司通过介绍方式实现了在香港的双重主要上市。另外，我们作为 FIFA 官方合作商，赞助了2022年卡塔尔世界杯，有效地提升了公司的品牌知名度和影响力，但短期也产生了较高的市场费用。即便如此，我们在4季度依然实现了盈利，扣除股权激励费用后，4季度经调整的净利润为5950万元。
In the fourth quarter, we achieved two significant milestones. On December 22nd, the company successfully completed our dual primary listing on the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong by way of introduction. Secondly, we became an official partner of FIFA and sponsored the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. Although our sponsorship elevated our marketing expenses for the period, the broad exposure from this renowned event both effectively enhanced and expanded the influence of the company's brand. Despite this increase in expense, we were still able to achieve profitability in the fourth quarter. Our adjusted net income, which excludes share-based compensation expenses, reached RMB 59.5 billion.
2022年全年，公司实现收入人民币45.1亿元， 经计算的现金收款为 46.1 亿元，扣除股权激励费用之后，全年经调整的净利润为8亿元。
For the full year of 2022, our GAAP revenues were RMB 4.61 billion, our calculated cash billing reached RMB 4.61 billion, and our non-GAAP adjusted net income, excluding share-based compensation expenses, reached RMB 800 million.
在运营层面，虽然四季度是传统的招聘淡季，我们依然延续了良好的用户增长的态势。四季度的 MAU 达到3091万，同比增长在 26%，用户的活跃度，也就是 DAU 占 MAU 的比例也维持稳定。
In terms of operations, the fourth quarter is the traditional off-season in the recruitment industry. Nevertheless, we maintained a solid growth momentum with our new users. Our MAUs for the fourth quarter reached 30.91 million, up 26% year-over-year. User activeness or our DAU to MAU ratio remained stable.
接下来介绍一下大家都非常关心的春节以后用户增长的情况和业务恢复的情况。今年春节返工之后，我们迎来了强劲的用户增长，各项数据都创历史新高。公司1、2月份累计的新增完善用户大概在900万人。1月份和2月份在 APP 上 MAU 的增长同比超过 50%。用户的活跃度，也就是 DAU 占 MAU 的比例创了新高。2月份月活的企业数也超过了历史的最高水平，同比也取得了不错的增长。在用户快速增长的同时，平均每个用户的收获，也就是说成功交换简历或者联系方式的次数，在2月份无论是求职者端还是企业端都持续得到提升，这是基于双边网络效应的发挥，也是我们不断提升算法和理解用户的结果。
Now, let me share some details on the user growth and the business recovery following the Spring Festival, which many of you may be interested in. Alongside work resumption following the Spring Festival this year, we saw a resurgence in new users that drove an array of our core operating metrics to reach numerous record highs. During the first 2 months of 2023, our newly verified users quickly exceeded approximately 9 million. The average MAUs on our app for the first 2 months of 2023 increased by more than 50% year-over-year. User activeness, which is again the average DAUs to MAUs, also hit a record high. And in February, our monthly active enterprise users soared to the highest level yet in our history, with solid year-on-year growth. While the total number of our users is growing rapidly, we are still able to deliver an enhanced user experience on our platform, which we would like to guarantee. The average number of both job seekers and enterprise users achievements, which is the average monthly number of times of mutual consent agreed for a full resume, has continued to increase through February. To drive this growth, we are realizing new efficiencies within our platform's double-sided network from our continuously improving algorithm capabilities and the deep exploration and insights into our users' needs and preference that it affords us.
在1、2月份看到的，在一季度已经看到的增长当中，注意到了几个关键词，值得跟大家分享。第一个词是蓝领，新增的用户当中，蓝领，不论是在绝对数量还是在增速上，都要快于白领。第二个关键词是2线以及以下的城市，增长的速度明显快于1线城市，证明公司在下沉市场中继续渗透的努力是有成效的。第三个关键词是小微企业，增长的速度更快。换句话说，我们看到，小微企业恢复的速度要比大企业快。第四个关键词是现金， 现金收入回升的速度很快，我们现在有信心预计在一季度我们的现金收款达到一个历史的新高，预计在环比跟同比上应该不会低于45%和25%这样的数据。第5个关键词就是城市服务业，也就是需要面对面接触为一个特点的行业。这个行业最近在恢复中是一个亮点。春节之后到现在，新发布的职位数同比增长超过40%。
In terms of our robust user growth, we would like to share some keywords till now in this quarter. The first keyword is blue collar. Among the new users following the Spring Festival, blue collar users showed stronger adoption of our platform than white collar users in terms of both absolute numbers and their growth rate. The second keyword is lower tier cities. In terms of regions, the number of users from second and lower tier cities grew much faster than the number of users in first tier cities, which is a testament to our ability to expand our penetration effectively and continually in lower tier markets. The third keyword is a small and medium-sized enterprise. The recruitment demand from SMEs accelerated rapidly, which shows the faster recovery time of SMEs compared with large enterprises. The fourth keyword is our cash. We have witnessed a quick recovery of our cash collection, and we expect our cash collections to reach an all-time high in the first quarter of 2023, with estimated over 45% growth sequentially and more than 25% growth year-over-year. The fifth and last keyword is the urban service industry. The urban service industry, characteristic by face-to-face contact, has been a bright spot in the first quarter of this year. Since the Spring Festival, we have seen more than a 40% year-over-year increase in the total number of newly job postings.
其他一些行业也有不错的表现，零售、交通，以新能源和汽车为代表的高端制造，以及医疗健康行业都表现良好。地产行业和教育行业在春节之后也出现了回升的迹象。近期销售、市场营销、采购等等，代表企业经营活动增加的职能性的岗位，环比在持续改善。中大型企业春节后的招聘活动也逐步开始抬头，这些都说明了整体经济呈现出复苏的态势，也让我们对于今年的业绩的增长充满了期待。
Some other sectors also showed positive growth trends. Sectors including retail, transportation, and high-end manufacturing, such as the new energy and automobile, as well as the healthcare industry, all performed well. Real estate and education also showed encouraging signs of stabilization and recovery after the Spring Festival. The number of open positions in sales, marketing, procurement, and other functions that representing improving business activities of enterprises have all continued to show week-over-week improvement in the first quarter. The recruitment activities of medium and large enterprises also gradually pick up after the Spring Festival. All of these trends show us signs of overall economy revival and give us confidence in our growth potential for this year.
我们继续努力实践作为一家上市公司的社会责任。2022年10月，公司连续第2次入围中国慈善公益500强。公司与中国残疾人联合会、就业服务指导中心联合做的残疾人无障碍求助助力服务计划，在2022年全年，我们累计服务了12.1万个残疾人求职者。最近我们跟教育部的24356校园招聘的服务联合做了一个昂扬春招节，预计在覆盖超过2000家企业，为大学生提供的就业岗位数量也比较可观。
We remain committed to undertaking our social responsibility as a public company. In October 2022, the company was once again shortlisted for inclusion in the 2022 China's Top 500 Enterprise in Philanthropy list for the second consecutive year. The company and the China Disabled Persons Federation Employment Service and Administration Center jointly launched the barrier-free job search assistance service plan for persons with disabilities to provide service to a cumulative 121,000 disabled job seekers throughout 2022. We also recently co-organized the Onward Spring Recruitment Festival with the Ministry of Education's 24365 Campus Recruitment Service, which is expected to offer hundreds of thousands of open positions for college students across more than 2,000 enterprises.
还有一件事情，今天我们公司董事会批准了新的一期的一个股票回购计划，在未来12个月当中，回购最多 1.5 亿美元。我的部分就介绍到这里，接下来由我们的 CFO Phil 为大家介绍我们的财务情况，谢谢。
And one more thing to share with you. Today, our board of directors approved a new share repurchase program to repurchase up to $150 million over the next 12 months to support our long-term share price stability. With that, I will turn the call over to our CFO Phil for a review of our financials. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hello, everyone. Now let me go through the details of our financial results of the fourth quarter and the full year of 2022. That may help you better understand our numbers. Before I begin, please note that all comparisons are on a year-on-year basis unless otherwise stated. Our revenues and calculated cash billings reached RMB 1.08 billion and RMB 1.1 billion respectively this quarter, stayed at the same level with the fourth quarter of 2021, despite the COVID impact. For the full year of 2022, our revenues grew by 6% to RMB 4.5 billion. Total paid enterprise customer number for 2022 was 3.6 million, down by 10% compared to 2021, mainly due to the decreases in small-sized accounts affected by the user registration suspension in the first half of the year, as well as COVID outbreak in second quarter and fourth quarter, while the paying ratio and ARPU in each quarter stayed steadily at healthy level. Revenues and the numbers of key accounts and mid-sized accounts maintained good growth momentum and both achieved a record high in 2022. Now let's turn to the cost side. Total operating costs and expenses were RMB 1.4 billion in the quarter, up 70% year-on-year, mainly due to, number one, increased employee-related expenses, including share-based compensation related to Hong Kong IPO. And number two, 2022 World Cup sponsorship. For the full year of 2022, total operating costs and expenses decreased by 12% to RMB 4.7 billion. Cost of revenues increased by 35% to RMB 202 million in this quarter, primarily driven by the increases in employee-related expenses and server and bandwidth costs as our user base continues to expand and higher security requirements. Gross margin, excluding share-based compensation expenses, was 82.6% for the quarter, down by 1 percentage point compared to last quarter, mainly because of the revenue growth in the quarter was impacted by the COVID situation, while the majority of the cost was still relatively fixed. For the full year of 2022, cost of revenues increased by 36% to RMB 755 million, with an 84.1 adjusted gross margin, down by 3 percentage points compared to 2021 due to similar reasons. We are expecting a gradual sequential recovery of gross margins this year along with our revenue growth. Sales and marketing expenses increased by 83% year-on-year to RMB 682 million in the quarter, which was primarily due to the marketing campaign of 2022 FIBA World Cup. For the full year of 2022, our sales and marketing expenses were RMB 2 billion, up 3% year-on-year. Excluding the World Cup sponsorship expenses, we saw a 46% year-on-year decline in branding and customer acquisition costs in 2022, demonstrating our improved marketing efficiency as a result of stronger brand recognition and user satisfaction. For 2023, we will maintain this effective marketing strategy while expecting user growth continues to be robust. Our marketing expenses will be monitored and under our good control. Our R&D expenses in this quarter increased by 48% year-on-year to RMB 294 million, mainly due to the increase of employee-related expenses. For the full year of 2022, R&D expenses were RMB 1.18 billion, up by 44% year-on-year for the same reason. G&A expenses in this quarter increased by 108% year-on-year to RMB 248 million, primarily due to increased employee-related expenses and professional service fees related to our dual primary listing in Hong Kong. Excluding share-based compensation and Hong Kong listing related fees, our adjusted G&A expenses in this quarter was 123 million, up by 50% year-on-year. And for the full year of 2022, G&A expenses decreased by 64%, primarily due to the one-off share-based compensation expenses of RMB 1 billion recognized in 2021 related to our US IPO. Our simple calculation shows that if we exclude the share-based compensation and World Cup sponsorship and the professional service fees related to our Hong Kong listing, our adjusted operating margin was 20% for this quarter and 19% for the full year 2022. Net loss in this quarter was RMB 185 million. Excluding share-based compensation, our adjusted net income for this quarter was RMB 59 million. In 2022, we generated positive annual net income of RMB 107 million and adjusted net income of RMB 799 million. Our net cash generated from operating activities was RMB 156 million for this quarter and RMB 1 billion for the full year. As of December 31st, 2022, our cash equivalents, and short-term investments reached to RMB 13.2 billion. And now, for our business outlook. For the first quarter of 2023, we expect our total revenues to be between RMB 1.25 billion and RMB 1.27 billion. A year-on-year increase of 9.8% to 11.6%. As Jonathan just mentioned, our calculated cash billing in this quarter is expected to increase by over 45% quarter-over-quarter and more than 25% year-over-year, which gives us a good start for the year. With our robust user growth and improving signs for the recovery of the economy witnessed so far we are optimistic for the whole year outlook and feel confident to strive for an accelerating business growth. With that concludes my prepared remarks. Now we would like to answer questions. Operator, please go ahead.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question over the phone, you need to press star 1 and 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. And to withdraw your question, you can press star 1 and 1 again. So once again, that's star 1 and 1 on your keypad to ask a question. Please stand by while we compile the Q&A queue. Thank you. We'll now take our first question. Please stand by. And your first question is from the line of Wei Xiong from UBS. Please go ahead.
感谢管理层接受我的提问。我这边想请教公司2个问题。第一个是想麻烦管理层能不能多分享一些咱们春节后这个恢复的趋势，比如说从这个用户端来看，咱们新增用户里面这个 BC 的比例比如说是怎么样的，然后如果从企业端来看，那如果咱们看这个企业用户的新发岗位和招聘预算的情况的话，那大企业跟小企业这个恢复的速度有什么不同，能不能也想给大家介绍一下。那第2个问题是关于怎么看待这个23年在线招聘行业的竞争的，因为今年在一个这个复苏的大背景下，其他的这个在线招聘企业是不是会加大投入？那咱们公司从策略上来说，怎么样来平衡今年的收入增速和利润的目标？那就这2个问题我也自己翻译一下。Thank you, management, for taking my questions. My first question is about could management share more color on the recovery trends post-Chinese New Year? For example, how do you see the ratio between business user growth versus the job seeker user growth? And if we look at the recruiting budget recovery, how do we compare the difference between the K customers versus SME customers? And second, also want to ask your thoughts on the competitive landscape in 2023 if we think about whether the competitors will raise or step up their investment in a reopened environment, and how do we balance the revenue growth versus the margin target for the whole year 2023? Thank you.
好，谢谢你的问题。然后大家都很关心春节之后，中国的农历春节之后开工之后那个恢复的情况。我们看到春节之后，也就是在1月底之后的情况，公司的APP 的 MAU 和平均的 DAU 都在历史的最新高的水平了。然后从 B 端的情况看，就是招聘端的情况看，活跃的企业数，招人的企业数已经超过了历史的最高水平。当然这就不仅是一个恢复了，这还是挺好的消息。然后刚才你也关心我们的 B 跟 C 的一个比例关系，这确实是我们这样一个双边的平台当中一个很重要的数据。目前的情况大概是一个9到10的这个情况。B 还是会显少一点，但是趋势是在变好的过程当中。从大企业跟小企业的情况看，其实我们之前的这种电话会上也谈过这种话题。我们总是看到小企业更灵活一些，它恢复的速度也会更快一些。在情况不好的时候，它倒下的速度也会慢一些。大的企业我们这次也看到它大型企业恢复招聘的行为相对的会滞后于小企业，但是也是在一个恢复的过程中。我再补充一点我个人的观察，其实往往不完全是因为实力的问题，实力上跟大企业实力会更强，我觉得往往是因为大家做决策的一个慎重程度，越是大企业做决定嘛，越是慎重一些。所以的话08年09年那一次我自己经历过同样的情况，还是小企业嘛恢复速度快一些，大企业就会逐渐的复苏，这是一个 关于您关心的春节之后的一个用户的情况。
Thank you for your question. Regarding your concerns about the situation after the Spring Festival, as I just discussed, we recorded historical high for both our MAUs and DAUs, which have a very significant growth in the first quarter. And in terms of enterprise users, our active enterprise number has hit a historical high, which means not only recovery but also a good information. And for the ratio of enterprise customers to job seekers, it still stay at like 1 to 9 or 1 to 10, but the trend is improving. In terms of the size of enterprises, we have witnessed that the small SMEs is more flexible and their recovery speed is faster. And of course, when the situation is bad, they can the follow them also will be faster. And for the large enterprises, their recovery is later than the SMEs, but it is still during the recovery process. I would like further to add that this is not all about capabilities. It's because the large enterprises, they are more prudent when making their decisions. I have same experience in 2008 and 2009. In that situation, the SMEs will also recover much faster.
关于您第二个问题，就是竞争的情况，然后截止到目前的情况看，我觉得我们在中国的互联网招聘这个行业当中的竞争的地位，还有整个的这个态势没有很大的变化，这是我的一个观察。第二个来讲，就是我赞同您的预测。那么今年因为整个经济在恢复，我们这个几个同行也跟我们一样，大家也憋了几年，今年大家多花一些预算来增加用户的获取、收入的获取，我觉得是非常合理的一个推测。在今年的一季度，我们也感受到了来自主要竞争对手在用户获取上的压力，我觉得您的预测是对的。第三件事情就是我们会怎么去做，会不会影响我们的利润的情况。我觉得呢，我们不会执行在竞争上的就是跟随这样的策略，我们也没有执行过，我们还是会按照自己的方式去做事，保持住我们基于较高的用户存留和活跃情况之下的一个合理的一个用户增长的策略，并且还是会希望能够实现有4000到4500万用户增长的一个年度的一个计划。我很有信心的觉得在这个过程中，它不是一个通过过度花钱的方法去实现，所以应该也不会过于影响到我们的 margin 的实现。我大概是这么看您的问题。
And for your second question about the competition, currently the overall competitive landscape has not changed. As you have correctly predicted that along with the recovery of the economy, our peers, they are planning to spending more to acquire new users this year, and we have already felt that kind of pressure in this quarter. But in terms of what we plan to do and whether it will impact our profits, our strategy is that we will not follow. We will do things according to our own pace and strategies, based on our high user retention and stickiness and a reasonable growth strategy. We are still hoping to reach the new user growth target of 40 to 45 million this year. I'm quite confident that we can achieve that target without overspending and won't affect our margin.
谢谢赵总，谢谢文蓓 ，Thank you management.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now take our next question. Please stand by. And the next question is from the line of Eddie Wang from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
赵总，宇哥文贝，感谢接受我的问题。我可能有几条问题向你们请教一下。第一个就是说，我看到这个统计局数字，还是看到就是说1、2月份的失业率还是比较高，特别是就是说青年的失业率还是在一个比较高的位置。然后赵总之前也提到了，可能蓝领这边的需求还是会相对来说增长比较快这个需求比较大。那白领相对来说就没有这么大。我不知道就是说这个因为更多青年失业率可能是大学毕业生，我不知道这样的错配对于整个的就是今年这个招聘市场会有什么影响吗？那对我们本身来说，就是说我们在这种错配当中的对报直聘这个平台来说的影响是什么？然后我们在策略上我不知道会做一些什么样的调整吗？更加就是说侧重于蓝领这边的招聘，还是会怎么样这是第一个问题。第二个问题就是现在有一些传闻是说，可能春节这个就是这个劳工返程之后就是说可能1、2周发现整个劳动力的这个有一些供不应求，因为大家都是陆陆续续回来的。但是可能如果看3月份的话，已经出现了一些就是劳动力过剩的这个情况。我不知道这个就是说 on the ground 的真实情况是怎么样的，我们有没有看到？第三个可能是一个相对来说比较小的问题，比较长的问题，我想听听这个赵总的想法，就是说，因为大家都说这个 ChatGPT 的出现会对以后一些特别是可能偏中低端的知识输出的这些岗位会被取代。我不知道就是说您有没有想过，就是说长期来说，这个对中国这个招聘市场，不管是特别是白领吧，这个会有比较大的这个影响嘛？对，我就这个3个问题，然后我可能先翻译一下。Thank you for taking my question. I have 3 questions. First is about the unemployment rate in the February and January actually has been quite high, especially for the youth unemployment rate. So do you expect that there, I think in terms of the labor supply side, there's more of the university or college graduates, but for the demand side, actually the blue collar jobs actually have quite a high demand. So this mismatch will impact on the overall the landscape of the recruitment in China, and how AlphaStreet will trying to leverage on this mismatch and adjust our strategy in this year. The second question is we heard that there's no longer the labor shortage after the Chinese New Year, when more and more the labor actually coming back to the tier 1 or tier 2 cities. Not sure if this is what we also witness on the ground as well. The third question is a little bit long term about the ChatGPT. People are talking about that in the longer term, it's a little bit the lower or a little bit mid to low the jobs of the white collar could be replaced by the ChatGPT in the longer term. So what's your thoughts on this? Thank you.
多谢。我们看到蓝领的2种，一种是城市服务业的蓝领，城市服务业的蓝领用户增长的也很快，同时的话，它的职位增长也很快，就是这种需要面对面见面的这种，像餐饮酒店这个旅行社它会雇一些人。那么这个来讲就没有说求职者增长很快，职位增长不快的问题。那么在制造业的这个领域当中，确实是从春节之后上班到，比方说到这个周吧，大概在7、8个星期的情况看，一开始有职位增长的速度较慢，然后求职者增长的速度较快。那么其实几个星期以来，我们看到的是这个情况在逐步缓解。同时来讲，还有一个我们看到的一个观察比较有意思，就是实际上的话，我们平台上因为去考核求职者跟招聘者之间2个人进行了交流， 那么最后它会有一些收获。那么这样的一个收获的话，实际上看制造业的这个情况，跟往年相比，这个收获下降呢，确实是下降了，但是下降的这个数量呢，就不是很大。反过来，这个人想得到这样的收获呢，他付出的努力呢，却增加的数量就很大。我们看到这个有趣的现象，这也是我们第一次在公开场合讲这个现象。那么实际上就是体感跟结果。一个制造业的蓝领工人找工作，他的结果呢是下降了一些啊，说实话不是很严重，我们看到，但是他的体感呢却是比较严峻的。我觉得这是一个，你刚才说对 on the ground， 对我们看到 ground 上面有一些这样的现象。然后关于这个错配呢，我觉得你也是很专业，确实是当一堆求职者没有岗位的时候，那个招聘者比较少的时候，这是作为平台比较挠头的，因为我们其实发明不出很多岗位来。然而有趣的是，相当多的劳动者，他在制造业的普通工人的岗位上，在服务业的城市服务业的一些岗位上，在城市物流快递的一些岗位上，它其实有比较强的流动性。而在他的这个年龄跟他的这个技能上面呢，他其实是有可能适应更多的岗位。这件事情在过去几年我们就看到，有很多求职者其实是在一个类型的工作比较少的时候，他用这样的方法来适应，并且能够满足自己。这是关于蓝领的这个供求关系的事情。
Thank you for your question. Regarding your first question, there are two types of blue-collar users on our platform. The first one is urban service, and within the urban service industry, we have witnessed both fast growth in user as well as job posting. So there is no issue about lack of job posting. It is fine for this sector. And in terms of manufacturing, after the Chinese New Year festival until this week, which is 7 to 8 weeks after the Spring Festival. In the first, we did saw that the job posting growth has been much slower compared to the job seeker growth, but the situation has been improving recently. There is a quite interesting observation. There is a key metrics we look at on our platform, which is the achievement, which means the mutual consent achieved between job seekers and enterprise users on our platform. So within the manufacturing industry, what we have observed that compared to last year, the average achievement per person has slightly decreased, but not huge. But the effort for a job seeker to achieve same level of achievement has been much greater. This is the first time I have been talking about this metrics publicly. So the result is that the overall achievement results has decreased a little bit, but the effort one job seeker need to put is much bigger. So the feelings of the severity of job seeking is much greater compared to the result that they have get. So about the mismatching questions you asked, which is quite professional, that a lot of job seekers cannot find a job and less job offerings, which under this situation is quite difficult for our platform. But in the past, what we have seen that, especially within the blue collar manufacturing, urban service, logistics subsectors, there is quite a lot of flexibility for the job seekers. So both in terms of their skills and ages and the job they're working. So we have seen the adaptation of the job seekers to switching between different kind of industries to satisfy their needs for job seeking.
然后是最近很热的这个话题啊，就是这个 ChatGPT 的这个话题。说实话，从公司角度来讲，我们在业务上，因为这个技术的逐步成熟，特别是这个技术最近的应用的发布，已经遇到的挑战和已经准备做的事情，我觉得我现在还不是一个很好的时候来 来说这个话。我负责任的说，我们其实一直在高度关注这个技术有可能带来的挑战和带来的机遇，这个是几个月以来的情况。那么最近呢，是看到 LinkedIn 的一些应用场景，比方说生成一个简历，生成一个个人的优势等等。刚才您谈到说会不会使得很多白领的工作遭遇挑战，我觉得这点我倒觉得是挺实在的一个话题，我觉得确确实实如此。正如在工厂生产制造这个仓储的物品的搬动这个过程中，其实机器人大量的替代了人类的体力劳动。那么接下来我觉得有一些所谓的脑力劳动也可能是会被生成式 AI 技术，比如 ChatGPT 所替代的。这件事情我觉得倒是跟您的看法是一致。
And regarding your last question of ChatGPT, which is a quite interesting question, it's still too early to comment for the actual application of this technology on platform. There's not too much to say, but we have been highly focused on this technology, and the challenge and opportunity it might raise. So recently we noticed that LinkedIn has already applied this technology to some scenario. For example, to generate a resume or personal advantages and etc. So our team has been seriously following and thinking on this. So whether this will impose a challenge for some of the white collar jobs, which is a very valid concern, similar to the manufacturing industry, like moving elements within the warehouse, the robots has replaced some of the physical works of the blue collar workers. So the new technology, some of the white collar jobs might be also replaced by some of the AI. So that's a potential trend.
我也很希望我们能够以不晚于一些先进公司的速度来实实在在的告诉我们的用户和投资人说，基于 AI、GC 技术，我们其实能做什么更有价值的事。我很希望这一天也能够早日到来，也希望你们对我们有信心。
I hope that we can not fast future from now be able to tell our users, our investors that what kind of value we can create for our users based on the AI-GC technology, and I hope that they won't be far, and I'm quite confident.
谢谢赵总一个文备，感谢。
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now take our next question. Please stand by. This is from the line of Timothy Shao from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
嗨，赵总与各文备晚上好。那恭喜公司稳健的四季度的业绩以及很强劲的这个一季度收入和现金生活员展望。那我这边有2个问题想要请教管理层。第一个还是关于这个技术投入和技术创新啊。那我看到我们在22年其实 R&D 占到整体的收入大概占到20%。那请教一下我们在这个23年，那我们公司计划在哪些方面去投入这个产品和技术的研发，特别是考虑到刚刚我们也聊到这个 AI、GC、GPT 的技术，那我们怎么去想这类技术对于整个互联网消费模式，特别是关于这个人力资源这个配置效率的一个优化的影响，这是第一个问题。那第二个问题是关于营销，因为我们看到整个世界杯的广告营销已经结束了，那我不知道管理层可否分享一下我们现在怎么看待整个世界杯的营销效果，那我们在23年的营销节奏是怎么样子的？那我很快翻译一下。Thank you management for taking my question and congrats on the solid result and strong outlook for the first quarter. I have two questions. First is about technology innovation, including the recent AIGC GPT technologies, and considering the R&D expenses account for around 20% of the revenue in 2022. How should we think about in which areas that we are planning to invest in 2023 in terms of R&D investments? What do we think about the impact from these technologies on the online recruitment model and on improving the efficiency of human capital allocation? Secondly, as we understand the marketing campaign around the FIFA World Cup has finished, could management share anything that you have observed about the marketing outcome? What is your pace of marketing and branding that we are thinking of for this year? Thank you.
生成式技术那个您也提到了哈，在我们今年看得见的投入中，我们还是会继续加大技术的投入。在我们做这些计划的时候，我们没有太多考虑到要在生成式技术的场景模型的训练，甚至于基础能力的建设中应该有怎样的投入。这个我们今天还没有我们做今年的这个研发投入的预算中没有包括这部分，这是我们正常的一个打算。那我们正常的打算还是会继续增加，其中主要的支出还是在更贵的和更多的工程师和计算机科学的科学家上面来进行投入。同时我们也考虑了硬件的投入，因为我们原先在这方面就是还是有些要补的地方，在硬件的投入上也做了打算。当然这里面也没有包括刚才你们提到的，还有另外一位同事提到的关于如果是应对生成式技术的话，它的算力的投入，这个是我们现在的打算中没有包括的。我现在也不是一个要跟各位汇报我们这方面的成熟打算的时候。这是关于这个今年的技术投入。
About your first question regarding our R&D investment this year. As always, we will continue to enhance the technology investment this year, but we haven't taken too much into the consideration of all those potential AIGC application scenarios and modeling training, etc. We are actually looking at that, but I haven't done that for our annual budgeting. So in our normal plan, the major expense will be for better and even more expensive engineers and computer scientists, and also we will increase our input in hardware, which we have been we will pay more notice into, but as I just said, we haven't considered too much about all those AIGC and related technology.
不过我觉得我们还是有野心和责任，也有实力来迎接这件事情，来迎接 AIGC 给整个很多公司带来的挑战。作为中国的互联网公司中上市公司在市值上 top 30左右的这样一间企业，我们会非常热烈的拥抱新的技术带来的变化。然后
But I'm confident and to say that we have enough capability and ambitious to further invest into this technology as a large company, and we are absolutely capable and will do that.
然后您刚才问到我们去年年底的一个大的营销活动，就是世界杯的这个营销，现在怎么来看它的这个结果？我只能说是它符合我们的预期。怎么说呢？就是在我们1、2月份以来的这个新用户的获取中，我们获得了非常高效的 digital marketing 的效率。买到一个用户是很便宜的，实际上并不是因为市场降价了。也不是因为什么这个我们突然间的投放技术有了巨大的提高，还是因为在去年11 18号到12月18号这一个月的世界杯的这个投放是一个成功的做法，它给公司的品牌知名度带来了很大的提高，所以从而降低了我们今年在用户获取上的 digital marketing 的费用，而且一直在持续发挥着这样的作用。
About your second question regarding our big event of the sponsor street of FIFA World Cup, I can say that the result, the outcome is in accordance with our expectations. So the very robust user growth in the first 2 months of this year, what we have witnessed is quite efficient within the digital marketing, which results in very cheap customer acquisition cost per person. This is not because the market has offered a lower price, nor we have found out some new technology for marketing, but mainly because the very high exposure of our marketing campaign during the lasting for 1 month last year has been quite successful. So our brand recognition has been improved, and this effect to reduce our digital marketing spend will continue to benefit us during this year.
I'd like to add a little bit to this marketing expense question. So I think that first of all, in terms of user growth, 2023 we consider this would be a good year of user growth. And you know that we use branding plus performance-based traffic acquisition advertisement as an approach to acquire new users. And nowadays, we put more resources towards the branding over the performance ad. So the branding related expenses, their percentage continues to rise within our overall marketing expenses. And this trend will continue, and we think that looking ahead for 2023, there is no other big branding events ahead. So overall, our user growth strategy or user growth target for 2023 won't affect our overall margin. And I also need to mention that our margin is more, linear or more related to our top line growth. So we expect that if the revenue can grow higher and faster, then we would like to see further margin expansion for 2023. So far we think that we are, holding positive view towards this trend. So we believe that margin should be improving for 2023.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Thank you. Due to time constraint, that concludes today's question and answer session. At this time, I will hand the conference back to Wenbei for any additional or closing remarks.
Thank you once again for joining us today. If you have any further questions, please contact our IR team directly or TPG Investor Relations. Thank you.
Thank you. This does conclude the conference for today. Thank you for participating, and you may now disconnect.